And we are live. Welcome to the NBA Strategy Show, Thursday, January 29th, coming off of a fantastically set up slate for late swap. And now we're lucky enough that the sites are doing it again. DraftKings has given us the full 8-game slate tonight. 2 7s, 2 8s, 8:30, 9, 9, and 9:30. We got it again, folks. Another absolute gem if you are a DFS player and if you are willing to pay attention and do your late swaps. This is a slate for you. These are the slates that have the edge. These are the slates we want. This one, tough to break down, 9 o'clock in the morning. We did have a really big slate yesterday. This is still relatively big, which means we've got to have a lot of teams on back-to-backs, and we do. But we're going to have enough time to take a look at all of this today. So hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. Follow me on Twitter, at Josh Engleman. I would be remiss if I didn't shout out my boy, Adam. Shout out Ship My Money. Smokes first and second in the DraftKings main last night for a cool $125,000. Shout out, Adam. And absolutely boat raced the entire contest, by the way. He didn't just win. He beat his own second place lineup by like 15 or 20. So it was over. Over. So shout out, Adam. Sorta. You know what I mean? What are you going to do? Happy for him. Happy for him. We got another great one on our hands, though, today. Some stuff's going to be tough. Some a little bit less so. Like Sacramento, Philly. We've got some Q tags waiting out here that'll be massive. Malik Monk is questionable. Russell Westbrook is questionable. Quentin Grimes is questionable. So a lot up in the air for the first game. Great DFS matchup, depending on how this breaks. Bucks Wizards. Clearly no Giannis. This one right here that you see on the screen, though, will loom as large as anything can loom. We already don't have Marvin Bagley or Tristan Vukcevic for the Washington Wizards. And it is possible we also don't have Alex Sarr, who is questionable. If that happens, buckle up. Because they are out of real stuff. Okay. Yesterday, if you were here and you remember us having a bit of a discussion about the Miami Heat and Chicago Bulls, you will note that I got it wrong. And that the injury report was loading in the data from the previous time that these guys were supposed to play, but the game got canceled. Well, guess what? The NBA injury report has not fixed this problem yet. The Chicago Bulls, in today's injury report for today, are still displaying what the injury report was supposed to be 2 weeks ago or whatever when this game got canceled. Now, I assume at 10 o'clock this morning, I think it's 10, that this will refresh itself. Actually, this is an 8 o'clock game, so it might be 11. When they have to submit their first official report, I think this will correct itself. But as of right now, all of the information for these guys are wrong. So it is still in the active injury report right now. So what I have on the screen for me is not true because we don't technically know what the injury report for this game is going to be. So there's that. We've got a Houston Rockets Atlanta Hawks game with both teams on a back-to-back, and certainly some injury news to worry about for the Atlanta Hawks after last night's game. We've got a Charlotte Hornets and Dallas Mavericks game that is on a double back-to-back. They've obviously got, like, Dallas certainly has some stuff going on, so these two games are literally impossible to talk about right now. When all four of these teams involved in these two games don't have injury reports, we're alive to get some real crazy nonsense. We've got Denver and Brooklyn. Denver, obviously missing still a bunch of dudes, but no Q tags. Terrence Mann questionable for the Nets. They're already missing a bunch of guys. We've got Detroit and Phoenix. Sorry, I got to move this screen around here. There we go. We've got Detroit and Phoenix. Karis LeVert questionable. Nothing else there, but Devin Booker still out. Gillespie questionable. Jalen Green questionable. That's pretty fun for a 9 o'clock start. And then OKC and Minnesota. We don't have an injury report for Minnesota. Oklahoma City still missing AJ Mitchell, Alex Caruso, J-Dub. Cason Wallace is questionable. And Hartenstein is back for tonight. So this is gonna be a hell of a slate. Legitimately, I think it's better than it was yesterday because we have so much more seemingly up in the air. I'm kind of pumped. Larry, I don't know what you mean. I don't know what you mean by do you vary it on your lineup? So let's take a look at some of the data that we have posted already. I don't want to get too bogged down on this. Like we have an 8-game slate with like 7 or 8 teams who don't have injury reports. So, put a pin in most of this. But we can touch on some of the hierarching things that are popping up right now and whether or not I expect to see them long term. Kevin Huerter, 4K, shooting guard, small forward, currently projected for the most ownership on today's slate. This could be a bunch of different things, depending on what Chicago's actual injury report looks like for today. So this is live to move a bit. I think he's going to look like a pretty solid value option one way or the other here. Pace up spot against Miami, guard forward eligibility. We obviously saw Ryan Rollins play 39 minutes last time out. Still no Giannis. He's 7,800. He gets the Wizards, so he's close to 50% owned. Looking at this projection right now of 42.9, I assume Spags has him around 52.9. Spags, if you're listening live right now, what up? If you hear this slightly later, it's even funnier. Bobby Portis, 7K, power forward center eligible, 40% owned. Not surprised to see that one. Joval, quite popular, played 31 minutes last time out, 6,500 here. He's 35% owned. Terrence Mann with a Q tag at 3,400 is 30% owned. We don't even know if he's going to be in. Embiid seems to be the pay-up option du jour, getting close to 30% ownership in a matchup against the Kings, which is incredibly advantageous. And then we work our way down a little bit further into less crazy ownership. How much weight should you put into a leverage stat for a player? None. Leverage is only telling you that their optimal rate is higher than their ownership. There's no it's like a nice to have, but not that's more of a what your entire lineup construction looks like question than an individual player. I don't look at it. If the column disappeared tomorrow, it wouldn't change anything that I do. It's not something I pay attention to in The Sims. All it's doing is just sort of letting you know our projections sort of like this guy more than the ownership, our projections sort of like this guy less than the ownership. I think Larry was trying to ask you, do you change the option from balance to... I mean, I'd change it depending on how my day is going. If you're heavy on chalk early and it busts, you probably want more contrarian lineups moving forward to try to save yourself. If you're heavy on contrarian options early and they hit, then you probably want more chalky builds moving forward. It's not something I would stress about all that much. I would that would be the least of my worries. Your best bet realistically is to just leave it alone and not care. But if you're acutely aware of how your lineups are going so far, you can move that either direction if you want. But given the fact that I typically late swap like a couple times to see what it looks like in a window, I just always assume that I'm going to see every version of a lineup I could want. That's a good question. I wasn't. Your last sentence tripped me up, and I wasn't thinking about what that slider was. So we got there. Would ROI be something that's built into leverage for a play? Yeah, like realistically, those things are going to be pretty correlated. If you run a sim, the highest leverage guys are likely going to be the highest ROI guys, and probably the guys that you're taking a stand on if you like favorite the top 20 lineups. It's all going to row in the same direction. Like leverage helps for like thinking about if you want to swap one guy to a different guy, but the rest of your lineup matters so much more than any one individual number for a player. An individual player in a lineup means nothing. And we've had this conversation before, no different than The Sims. You want to play 100% Kevin Huerter today or 0% Kevin Huerter? Like you can do that and find those lineups and they'll all be you can make decent enough lineups with it. A lot of this comes down to like risk tolerance, variance, and more importantly, like the actual construction of that lineup. Whether or not you have 0, 25%, 50%, 75%, or 100% of Kevin Huerter, it doesn't really matter. Realistically, you just want to have as much of the guys that are the most likely to do well as you can and hope you have them in a unique combination with like two guys that people have less. It's easy in theory. It's hard because variance exists. And a guy that's projected for 25 fantasy points is realistically going to land somewhere between like 5 and 45. So when people think they know what's going on, they don't. And that's the hard part. Sometimes you just need to be hopeful, I guess. Let's run a sim. We don't typically do that in the morning. Let's run the full bag. 5,000 lineup pool. Your boy shipped my money getting first and second yesterday. His favorite person will definitely get a raise this weekend. I mean, the way that he typically moves, the guy that the person that's going to get a lot of money out of this one is like the door guy. Oh, it was an interesting way. Like I woke up to the DM from him with the screenshot. So he and I were talking about it this morning at 5:30 a.m. or something. Let's see. When did Adam respond to me? I don't know. I don't think he slept. He's probably pretty pumped. Adam sent me the screenshot of him winning at 12:18 a.m. I congratulated him at 5:49 and he responded to me 3 minutes later. So, he certainly didn't fall asleep immediately after sending it to me. And I don't think that I woke him, so I don't know what he was doing, but I don't think there was a lot of sleep in his life last night. To be fair, tough to want to sleep when you're 125K to the good from the night before. Whoop, there we go. Let's see where this first sim lands. Then maybe we'll take a look at some of these individual matchups, see if we can glean anything interesting. All right. Top 150, locked and loaded. Where are the stands? Nolan, okay. This is exactly what we're going to do. All right. Top 150 lineups. 19% pool ownership on Nolan Traore, 61% exposure. He's the most over the field guy that we have. Okay? This is going to take us back to the conversation we just had. Just in the data hub alone, Nolan Traore, number one in leverage. There you go. Joval is second. Bobby Portis is third. Aaron Wiggins is fourth. Joval, Bobby Portis. Apparently, we didn't get as much of Aaron Wiggins. He's only 5% owned, so that's not as crazy. But 3 of the top 4 dudes in leverage in the data hub are also the top 3 dudes in leverage if you take the top 150 lineups. Brandon Williams, 6% positive leverage. That's 2, 4, 6. The 7th highest mark in the data hub. He's 4th in the lineups. It's going to tell you the exact same story, one way or the other. So you don't really have to think about it. It's already going to get to you. Terrence Mann, Keyshawn George, Trey Johnson, Danny Wolf, Grayson Allen. Those are the 4 that we have quite a bit less than the field. If we flip to negative leverage, Terrence Mann, Danny Wolf, Keyshawn George, Grayson Allen. You guys picking up what I'm putting out now? You understand in the direction I tried to take this? If you're looking in the data hub, the leverage column, if you run a sim at the same time as this data is here, the top ROI lineups are just going to look like this. So if that helps anybody that's never really thought about it like this, I hope that it does. But if you want to know what this is going to look like in the Sims, you can get a pretty darn good idea about it just by looking at the positive and negative leverage numbers. I'm going to oversimplify what I'm about to say, son, but you don't think about stacking in the NBA. It's not a thing. There's no like correlative performance in the same way as hitting a home run with 3 of your teammates on. Like, you can't make a 3 and everybody else gets credit. It's not the same thing. Same for football. So yeah, I like the setup of today's slate. I don't want to think too much about it because, like, if we get those 2 games that have all those Q tags, all of this is going to move around. So I think it's better to just talk about this slate a little bit more holistically. And let's, kind of talk about what we have from a matchups perspective. Because the Kings stink. The Bucks stink. The Wizards stink. The Heat Bulls matchup is just incredibly interesting from the environment that it is. Neither one of these teams stink, but they also play really advantageous DFS games. The Mavs stink. The Hornets are they stink in one facet of the game, at least. The Nets obviously stink. This version of the Nuggets isn't particularly good, but it's obviously way better than the Nets. This version of the Suns isn't particularly great. But once again, back-to-back nights, even a shorthanded OKC team, back-to-back nights where the late game is the best game, and we get to OKC and Minnesota at 9:30. Now, Thunder are dinged up a little bit. Wolves could be. The fact that the Thunder are 5.5-point favorites in that one is kind of crazy, given who they're missing, but that's a hell of a game. But we got a lot of crap at the beginning, and that's kind of fun. Like, 7 o'clock start, Joel Embiid, and he's getting maybe Domantas Sabonis? Like, I assume it's going to be Sabonis. He did not play their most recent back-to-back, but now that he's back to starting, back up to 30-plus minutes, is Embiid going to beat the brakes off of Sabonis? He might. He might. NBA J, man, I haven't understood a single thing you're saying, But Miles Bridges has not been a brilliant all-around player this year. Or we have very different definitions of the word brilliant. But I would not be describing their 7th best player as brilliant, especially when it's the Hornets. If they could get rid of one dude, I think it would be Miles Bridges. By the way, for reference, Miles Bridges down 1.3 in EPM over the past 9 months. It's bad. Let's see if Darko feels the same way. How much has Miles Bridges fallen off? Because EPM does not like him. Creeping back up a little bit, I guess, here. But that line is a very strong negative downturn. I mean, if they're getting rid of anybody on their team, it's going to be Bridges in the offseason. Yeah, let's see. DPM improvement is down 0.5. This one's a little bit more startling. Look at these expected numbers. On April 13th, at the end of last season, his estimate was a +1.5 offense guy. Now it's 0.8. Defense got worse too. From a +1.4 to a completely average guy. And trending down. Yeah. So, give me Brandon Miller, LaMelo Ball, Con Knipple, Musa Diabate, and Ryan Kalkbrenner first. I mean, I'm not saying that I don't like Miles Bridges. Like, he's like clearly a rotation dude, but you know, brilliant was a stretch. Just a bit of a stretch. All right, what else did we get in that first sim? Ton of Kevin Huerter, ton of Ryan Rollins. Relatively flat, actually. What are the pay-ups looking like today? I didn't even think about it. SGA at 10.8. Cade at 10.3. Jalen Johnson at 10K. Maxey 99. Murray 98. None of those. Look at the ownership on that. Wow. SGA, 5% pool ownership. Cade, 2. Jalen Johnson, 8. Maxey, 5. Murray, 7. That's... All right, chat. Who do you guys like the most here? We have a distinct 5 pay-up group. These guys are separated by $1,000. Murray, Maxey, Jalen Johnson, Cade, SGA. None of them are owned. Who do you like the most? SGA. Yeah, Cade is in a good matchup. Actually, Cade isn't in a good matchup. probably a lot more defense on Phoenix right now than there is offense. Murray, SGA, Murray, SGA. Larry, you cannot choose Embiid. He's 28% owned. That's the whole point of this. Everybody agrees that it's Embiid. I do find it interesting that there are no maxis in these answers. Tyrese Maxey gets to face the Sacramento Kings. Their center is either going to be Domantas Sabonis or Reynaud. Their guards are all shitty at slowing him down. I don't care if it's Levine, Monk, whatever. Don't Westbrook, doesn't matter. Maxey is sneaky. I got a real tough time saying it's Murray. I certainly like the idea of paying up for SGA because even with dudes, like the more dudes are back for OKC, like Hartenstein being back, like all of that to me is just beneficial. The less they have to pay attention to, the less they can pay attention to SGA, the better. Let's see something here. First round of the projections. We have Tyrese Maxey at 1.26 fantasy points per minute for this game. I just want to see what he's done so far this year when the three of them play. Why am I not in Wowie? Let's see. Philly. All right. Embiid, George, Maxey. How many games do we have where all three of them started? And reminder, all these guys are basically unowned in this group of six. Josh, you were talking about playing Knicks if Brunson sits. Brunson doesn't sit and they crush. What gives? I don't understand. I do not understand that question. All right, 1.28 fantasy points per minute in 627 minutes across all of the games where Embiid, George, and Maxey all started. And we've got him at 1.26. I'm okay with... I think Maxey's the sneak move today against this Kings team. I'm Team Maxey. I can't. This is just stuck in my head now. He's the dude that's standing out to me as the pay up. especially in like non-Embiid lineups, I really like a Maxey piece. Let's take a look at some Kings team stats. I want to dig into this a little bit further. All right. Kings, they do limit threes. Wait, that cannot be right. So Sacramento allows the 8th least amount of shots at the rim. They're also the worst rim defending team in the league by so many miles. They don't really allow. I mean, they're really balanced from like a shots allowed scenario. They give up mid-rangers and shots at the rim like it's going out of style. So, let's think about offensive shooting. Philly is 5th in the league in shots at the rim and 7th in mid-range. They actually are middle of the pack-ish in three-point rate. Now, the real problem for Philly here is that they're 30th in field goal percentage at the rim. So this is the Sacramento Kings, who allow the highest field goal percentage at the rim, against the Philadelphia 76ers, who have the lowest field goal percentage at the rim. What the hell are Embiid and Maxey shooting at the rim this year? Or, more importantly, has anybody else on the team made a layup? All right. Joel Embiid is shooting 61% at the rim. That is awful. 35th percentile. Was also 61% last year. Ooh, that is so bad. A little bit better in the mid-range. I didn't realize that he can't fucking buy a bucket this year. All right. Next up, Maxey. What are you shooting at the rim? Dude, Tyrese Maxey shooting better at the rim than Embiid. %63% at the rim for Maxey this year. 56 last year, unsurprising. 40% from mid-range is awful. What about PG? 10th percentile, 54% at the rim? What is in the water in Philadelphia? What the hell is in the water here? Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid, Paul George. Okay, so good God. These guys are all shooting like 10 to 15% below their expected rim rates. Like, it's not surprising that Maxey's is lower. He's 6'2". It's hard for that to be high. That's the whole reason De'Aaron Fox won an award like 2 or 3 years ago. Shot really well at the rim and it was random. Travis, we're talking about rates. It doesn't matter if these guys do it 1,000 times or once a game. These are rates. Now, it's not surprising that Embiid's has been falling off. Health has just been dreadful for like 2 years. So that doesn't shock me. The fact that Paul George is rim field goal percentage has been trending up over the last 4 years is incredible. Why in the world can these guys not make shots at the rim and in mid-range? What a weird balance. I don't think I've ever seen that before. For those three guys to be like 10 percentage points below their expected rim rates, that's nuts. Darko has it, right? Yeah. Okay. So at this moment, in Darko, Embiid is expected to be a 69.9% rim shooter. Maxey is 64. Paul George is 67.5. 65 or higher for all three of them is the expected Darko rate at the rim for those three guys. As a reminder, Paul George is at 54. Maxey is at 63. Close enough to correct this season. And Joel Embiid is at 61, like 9 percentage points lower. I don't know which Philadelphia 76er I want today, but somebody's going to make a boatload of shots at the rim in Domantas Sabonis' face. How many contested shots? Probably quite a bit, if I had to guess. I mean, pretty much every shot at the rim is going to be contested unless it's on a transition play. You got to beat someone pretty bad to get an open layup in the half court. I mean, I think all of this just takes me back to the fact that, Embiid to me is the best pay-up option. But in non-Embiid lineups, I find Maxey to be the most interesting. But I guess second most interesting. I will always think SGA is the most interesting. But I like the idea of having Maxey in non-Embiid lineups. I don't think it's all that difficult to get to 15% of Maxey. Let's see what that would take. If I wanted to bump up Tyrese Maxey, let's say I give him a 10% ROI boost. Because he only has 5% pool ownership, which for those of you that understand, there's only 250 lineups in here with Tyrese Maxey. 200 of them are probably dog shit no matter what I do here. So this might be a situation where you got to run more than one. If I bump him 10% ROI, nothing changes. 20? 20 gets him to 6, which means 30 probably puts him in 15. 10. All right. Don't hate it. But that's something I'm at least a little intrigued by. I would rank, in my mind right now, it's Maxey, SGA, Cade, Jalen Johnson, Jamal Murray. The Jalen Johnson one is going to be very interesting. Did you guys pay attention to Atlanta yesterday? I don't think we're going to see Onyeka Okongwu today. Have you guys seen Onyeka Okongwu? Because if we don't have Onyeka Okongwu, we're going to get a bunch of value from Atlanta. Buckle up, folks. Decent chance that guy is probably sitting out today. But you never know. He could play. I would expect him to not play based on this. And if that's the case, we're going to have some Atlanta value popping up. Which is tough because if Atlanta had a different matchup, you can get away with a lot more Jalen Johnson at the 5 type stuff. Not entirely sure they're going to lean that direction with how big Houston is. but we can certainly find some value elsewhere if Onyeka Okongwu can't go. How many of the top lineups are 2 center lineups? Hopefully a lot. As many as you can get is usually the goal. Let's see. If you're willing to conclude that anybody with center eligibility is a center, that's, let's see, 70 plus 68 plus 38 plus 23... 19, 19, 11, 10, 7, 7, 7, 4, 3, 3, 2. We've got like 290-ish% ownership to centers or power forward centers. Hopefully you're getting a lot. I mean, we can do it with just just guys with center eligibility. 68, 38, 19, 19, 11, 7, 7, 8, 3, 1. 181% ownership to just centers right now. And that doesn't include if Atlanta has any horse shit tonight. It's a ton of center lineups, which is exactly how it should be. Not that you think about it going in, but centers, big men are the best per minute dudes that exist. Those are the guys that maximize your lineup more. Now, it doesn't always have to be like that. Like if there's 4 point guards that are starting in place of their starter and they're all 3,500, like to a degree, it's a symptom of whatever the slate is. But realistically, like you want as much of the biggest guys as you could possibly get because they are typically the best per minute guys. Oh, by the way, now that everybody's here, we're all properly lubed up for today. 30% off any Stokastic package. If you're looking to sign up at Stokastic, the promo code is PRO. Click the link in the description. Very easily, folks. Very easily, you can get access to anything weekly, monthly, NBA, MMA, golf. We've got projections and ownership for the NHL. Baseball is going to be here soon, folks. If you want to get yourself familiar with using the tools on the backside, pause, whether it's the data hub, our single lineup simulator, our contest generator, the actual sims, our late swaps, our post-contest sims, you can get it all right now for 30% off using that promo code PRO. That link is in the description. Click it, sign up. This deal's going to go away soon, but we wanted to give you guys something with the NFL ending. Give you guys a little bit of a reason to stick around. Schedule for the rest of the day might bother you guys, but what are we going to do? NHL strategy show coming up at 1:30 p.m. Eastern time. And then no deeper dive tonight. 6 p.m. NBA live before lock. Myself and Eric Lindquist breaking it all down. So just one show tonight. It's a sprint to 7 o'clock. Definitely want you guys to be here checking it out with me. I think that's probably going to do it. I liked having a little bit of a conversation about those pay-ups. Today was more about logic, I think, than anything else. Just given what we have here today, the way we're waiting on, Miami and Chicago, Houston, Atlanta, Charlotte, Dallas, Minnesota, Q tags on Cason Wallace, Karis LeVert, Jalen Green, Colin Gillespie, Terrence Mann, all the games that we don't know yet. Alex Sarr, Westbrook, Monk, Grimes. Whoo, today's going to be a big one, folks. That's a lot of news. I read off a lot of Q tags, 6+ teams on back-to-backs, and a full slate taking us from 7 to 9:30 with late swap opportunities. We got an hour between 7 and 8 to swap for the 8 o'clock games. 8:30, 2 nines, 9:30. You can't beat this today. For everything that I said yesterday about the slate, today's is better. This is a better version of yesterday. More ambiguity, more question marks, less time for people to understand the slate. We'll be hours into the afternoon before we truly have any idea where this is going. And based on all those Q tags that we saw before, which could be way more plentiful by the time we get there, we're set up for a lot of really solid late swap opportunities, culminating in the best game on the slate once again. I love it. I hope you guys do too. Don't forget to sign up at Stokastic. You should absolutely do that. And follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Tails as well. Lots going on. And keep your eyes peeled for Stokastic.com. New things in the works. There might be a popcorn machine coming soon. But for now, guys, that is going to do it. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Enjoy it. I'll see you guys for Live Before Lock. Adios.